President Biden has put the United States into a terrible situation. This is a situation that we did not want to be in. However, it's unfortunate, but it looks like we are now there. The concern amongst experts is that there is no good answer. There's no good way of getting out of the situation that we are now in. So, I want to address what this situation is, why this is such a dire issue, and what experts are telling us moving forward. One thing I can tell you is that, again, there's no great options, but the outcome and the path forward looks very clear. That's what I'm going to address in today's video and explain why President Biden made this decision and what it looks like moving forward for you and I. So make sure you stick around for this entire video. All I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead and hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So what did President Biden do just recently that put the United States into a terrible situation? Well, it has to do with a war over in the Middle East. And even though it has a little bit to do with Israel and Hamas, it's actually against the Yemen Houthis. And here's the problem. The United States has no endgame in sight, has no endgame plan for the Yemen Houthis. Right now, according to reports, the United States continues to attack the Yemen Houthis and shoot down different drones and missiles, but at the same time, we do not know if and when this will ever end. Just the other day, we learned that the United States took down 2 Houthi missiles that were about to launch. So before the United States and President Biden, they opted to wait for the missiles to be in air before they shot them down. Now, before they launch, they are now attacking them and making sure that they never get off the ground. Well, that's a big change, but this doesn't mean this is going to end, and here's the problem. Why is this a terrible situation? Other than the fact launching missiles at each other is a cause for concern, but why is this a terrible situation to be in? Well, it has to do with what is happening at the end of 2024, and that is a presidential election. According to reports, President Biden cannot get the United States into a war. This is coming from his own administration. They have been telling him for several months, even before Hamas attacked Israel in Israel, they said we cannot get into a war. If President Biden takes the United States into a war, whether it's with China, with Russia, Iran, or even the Houthis, doesn't matter. If he takes the United States into a war, according to experts, they warn that Democrats will lose voters in the upcoming election. Well, this is already something that we are seeing. Voters right now do not want to see a Trump, okay, I don't want to say all voters, but younger voters do not want to see a presidential election that's going to come down to 2 people, being former President Donald Trump and current President Joe Biden. They don't want to see that. What they want is a new candidate in there, somebody else they can vote for. But is that going to happen at this time? Probably not. We've already seen Ron DeSantis. He's backed out of his campaign. Nikki Haley just lost just yesterday, so that was a big blow to her campaign as well. So chances are it is going to be former President Donald Trump against President Biden. Now, here's the issue. One of the things that we're facing right now is the United States is asking for, and not everybody, but President Biden and the Biden administration are asking for help. Because as of right now, we really have no options. So what is the United States doing? Well, we're asking other countries for assistance. For example, the United States is asking China to urge Iran to curb Red Sea attacks by the Houthis. Now, why would the United States do that? The United States and China do not have that great of a relationship. Well, the answer is simple. President Biden has really no other alternative. If you think about what's happening all over the world, for instance, between Russia and Ukraine, the United States vowed to provide additional resources and additional funding. We have yet to do that for many months. Now, in Ukraine, they are running out of funding. We're also getting reports that the weapons and the ammunition that we're sending to Ukraine is faulty. So that's another concern. But is the United States stepping up and providing additional funding and more resources? No. What the United States is doing, and has been doing for about 6 months, is we are asking other countries to provide assistance temporarily until the United States can get congressional approval to pass some additional funding and other resources. So again, we're reaching out to other countries. Well, what about when it comes to the U.S. southern border? What happens there? Well, the United States, again, we cannot get a bill passed through Congress, so what do? Well, the Biden administration has a secret meeting, or a private meeting, rather, and they go and talk with the president of Mexico, and they come to some agreement. We don't know exactly what's in it, but what we do know now is that Mexico is trying to do different things and trying to have some type of say in what happens with all those migrants coming through Mexico. So now Mexico is putting them on buses and trains and planes, sending them back down to the southern Mexican border. And so hopefully they'll go back to their own country instead of coming into the United States. Again, the United States is asking for help from Mexico. And in this case, the United States again is asking China for assistance. They need help. And it's because, according to many experts and according to White House aides, the Biden administration cannot provoke a war. We cannot incite a war. If we get closer and closer to a war, chances are the United States is going to back off, not push further and really get us into a war. They're going to back off. But that is another cause for concern because that makes the United States look weak. And that is not something we can afford either. But at this time, can the United States look weak for potentially 8 months? Or if the United States goes into a war, that's going to make President Biden lose votes. So in the end of the day, what it comes down to is, does President Biden, is he caring more for the American people and American people's safety? Or is he caring more about the upcoming election? Well, he's caring more about the upcoming election. Now, I'm not saying that Republicans would not do the same thing, because here's what they're telling themselves. According to reports, Democrats are telling themselves that if they sacrifice a little bit of safety and a little bit of resources today, they can provide more in the future. Because they say what they know is if Republicans win, there will be cuts all across the board. So that's what they're saying. That yes, it is perfectly fine and it's acceptable to them to sacrifice the American people in exchange for something better and more in the future. So it's interesting the way people think, but that is where we're at this time. So if you have any questions whatsoever, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. But that is what we know as of today. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.